Hey, here's a term that you probably have never heard before, but you should because it can help you to prevent meltdowns. You know, with some meltdowns and crisis behaviors, it's easy to put your finger on the trigger of what caused those. It could have been the fact that you had to tell your kid no to something that he or she wanted. It could be that a sibling took something from him or her. It's easy to pinpoint some triggers for certain meltdowns, but on the other hand, I'll bet you're like me in the sense that your child has had meltdowns that just seem to come out of the blue. You had no idea why they occurred. Well, this term that I'm about to share with you will help you to solve that puzzle. And here's 3 benefits that you'll experience from understanding the concept of predisposing factors. 1, it will help you to identify factors that are related to some of your child's meltdowns or crisis behaviors. 2, help you to think about ways of being more proactive in those specific areas so that 3, there'll be reduced meltdowns and crisis behaviors and you'll have less stress. Yay! So let me tell you what the definition of a predisposing factor is. It's a circumstance that increases the likelihood of a meltdown or crisis behaviors at a later point in time. In other words, it doesn't cause the meltdown or the crisis behaviors, but certainly lends itself to that happening at a point in time in the future. In the medical world, predisposing factors is a term that talks about genetic predispositions that can lead one to eventually have depression or even cancer. And it doesn't mean that just because you have that genetic predisposing factor that you'll get depression or that you'll get cancer, but it increases the likelihood that that will happen. Well, in behavior world, there are also predisposing factors that can lend themselves to increased likelihoods of meltdowns and crisis behaviors. Here's a graph of the 6 most common predisposing factors that relate to meltdowns or crisis behaviors. These aren't the only ones, but these are the ones that research say are the most common. So let's take a quick look at what they are. The first one is sleep, or more specifically, a lack of sleep. Some kids on the autism spectrum are known for not being great sleepers. Well, you know how you are when you haven't had a good night's rest. You're more susceptible to becoming irritated. And so sleep is a predisposing factor. It doesn't guarantee that a lack of sleep will produce a meltdown or crisis behaviors, but certainly lends itself to one of those happening. The second one is hunger. Hunger can be another predisposing factor, especially for kids who don't get access to food when they want it or don't have the verbal or ability to communicate the fact that they're hungry and that they want to get food. They're going to act in ways that are designed to get people to get them some food. And sometimes these can cause meltdowns or crisis behaviors. Another one is medications. Starting medications, stopping medications, transitioning between medications. This is also another predisposing factor that can lend itself to the increased probability of meltdowns or crisis behaviors. Another one is fear. Kids on the autism spectrum, for example, they like things very ordered and very structured, usually. Who doesn't? I do. But just think about living in a world where you're not sure about what's going to come next or what the expectations are. That would increase your level of anxiety or stress or fear about what's going on, and again, could produce some meltdown or some type of crisis behavior. Another area is a loss of personal power. Did you know that the average adult in the course of a day makes 35,000 choices? Do you know what the average number of choices are for someone who has a disability, and especially someone who has a moderate to more severe disability? Well, I can tell you it's not 35,000. It's not anywhere near 35,000. Try imagining living in a world where you don't get much say-so in the course of your day at all, that people are always telling you what to do, where to go, where to sit, what to wear. A loss of personal power. This can be a predisposing factor that lends itself to meltdowns. And then the last one that I just wanted to mention is self-esteem. Low self-esteem is a predisposing factor that lends itself to maladaptive behaviors or meltdowns or crisis behaviors. The lower a person's self-esteem, the more likely they are to act out. Now that you know what a predisposing factor is and what 6 of the most common predisposing factors are, think about them in relation to your child, because this might help give you some clues what possible causes are to some of the meltdowns that he or she is having. And once you identify one or more of those areas that you feel could be impacting the number or frequency or duration or intensity of meltdowns that your child is experiencing, begin to ask yourself, what are some changes that you could make that might help to alleviate or minimize those predisposing factors? For example, if you think sleep was a factor, what's the possibility of allowing your child to have a nap? I have a teenage son. He's 17 years old. He's a redhead, so he's already feisty. He doesn't sleep too well. So during the course of the day, he's pretty tired. And when he's tired, he's cranky. That's all I can say, cranky. And it lends itself to him engaging in meltdowns a lot more quickly over things that he normally wouldn't when he's tired. So guess who allows him to have a nap when he gets back from school? That's right, I do. Why? Because I don't want to put up with the meltdowns or crisis behaviors. So he gets to have a nap. And then the last benefit of a predisposing factor is this. It's just simply understanding that there's something else at work that's causing your child to engage in meltdowns or to have crisis behaviors. It's not something that you necessarily said or did, and that's going to help you to take it less personally, which is really, really important, because when we take meltdowns personally, we don't react to them very well. You can also check out the link below for some more information to this particular topic area. Sometimes predisposing factors are also called setting events or precipitating factors, so check out the link below. Now, remember, it's not what you know, it's what you do that creates change. So be a doer. Pick one of these particular predisposing factors that you think might be affecting your child, make some changes in those particular areas, and see if that doesn't help to minimize some meltdowns and allow you to have less stress in the course of your week or day, or perhaps this hour. And remember, I welcome your comments. Please leave any comments that you have below. I'd love to get back to you about anything that you might comment on. And don't forget, subscribe to my channel.